right at the beginning when I say there's kind of a two-way street. Gemini rising, Mercury is the ruler of her chart. So here we are linking the idea of the basic ascendant idea that self-actualization depends on her finding her voice, that her sense of being the right person at the right place at the right time in the world is inseparable from the sense of developing some confidence in her ability to express herself, and vocabulary, and probably most importantly, just ease when all eyes are on you, and what you need to say in order to feel you have expressed yourself clearly and effectively will take a paragraph. And so it takes a certain amount of confidence to stand in front of people and say a paragraph. It's just a human thing. This is good for everybody, but if if Gemini is your ascendant, then getting it together, getting your act together, getting your show on the road, feeling at ease in your skin, all these basic ascendant ideas are totally dependent on language and the integration of your social persona with a sense that I am skillful at language. Anybody with Gemini rising, I would say that. Now, let's imagine Mercury is in the fifth house. It's going to bring some fifth house energy into this. The idea that my destiny lies in this kind of verbal fluency that I've just described in some detail. Well, there are lots of ways a person can be verbally fluent and impressive. I could be teaching computer programming or carburetor repair, in your automobile. And those are complicated subjects, and they require verbal skill and clarity and all of this, but they would not really be very reflective of a fifth house Mercury ruling that chart. The fifth house is many things we could say about it, but one of them, it's a more creative kind of expression. And so the notion of creative writing, the notion, it could go down a lot of roads, being a stand-up comedian. It's not like that's your destiny if this is your chart, but it illustrates and just relate humanly for a moment. You're a stand-up comedian and you're unknown, and here's an audience kind of long-faced, and you're going to step out on that stage and try to make them laugh. How scary is that? Feel the performance dimensions of the Mercury in the fifth house. Writing is the very obvious illustration. So let's say for this person to get her act together, she has to become a creative writer. And the natural expression of her role in the world is to be a creative writer. And so there we see the Mercury expressing the behavioral flowering of the ascendant. Here's the best-selling novel, top of the bestseller list. But in order to get her act together, she has to develop those Mercury fifth house qualities. This is what I meant right at the beginning when I say there's kind of a two-way street here. So I would say study creative writing, write stories that will never get published. Learn how to do this. And that will empower you to eventually express yourself behaviorally, the open flower of one who is recognized in her community as a storyteller. So it kind of, they feed back into each other. If I were sitting with this person, just one more comment, I would quote, I heard the late, great Kurt Vonnegut once back in the 1970s. He came to my university and spoke. And he was wonderful. There's 1,000 of us in the audience. And he said, I know you're all working on a novel. It was probably true for half the audience. And he said, I'm going to give you some advice. Tear up the first 10 pages. And it's obviously kind of funny, but it was sort of brilliant. You're probably too wordy. Learn. Jump into the story. Don't prepare us too much. And it's like that. That's fun to say, but it also illustrates the idea of developing behavioral skills of a Mercury in the fifth house nature. And that's really the point. That would be good advice for our person here.